Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Welcome back to my Careers podcast, where I normally interview fascinating professionals who've made interesting career changes for a bit of inspiration. But today, I thought I'd have a chat about how tough it can be if you're going through a career transition, or you're in between jobs and not sure what to do, or you've gone through a redundancy and your confidence has been knocked a bit, or you're just feeling a bit lonely if you're going through the process, especially if you're maybe stuck in your career or you're in a job that you really don't like. So I was prompted to actually discuss this after I had a coaching session with one of my clients. He's experiencing difficulty during his job search as he's very much on his own in the process. He's living away from his home country. He doesn't have a support group around him, and he feels rather lonely. So when it comes to career transition, it can be quite challenging. If you don't have support, it becomes even more so. So I just want to talk about your connection with your friends, your family, and the community, because you really need this, especially when going through a period of transition in your life or in your career. Because so often, if you're making a career change, it's not just one thing that you're concerned about. There might be a whole lot of other things that are going on in your life as well. And so I want to ask you, are you lucky enough to enjoy healthy, happy relationships with supportive people around you? Or do you feel lonely and perhaps stuck with some people who are just dragging you down because you're not getting quite the support that you're hoping to have? So if you're feeling lonely or you're unhappy, the job search process will feel much harder than it actually needs to be. One of the biggest issues that many people struggle with is loneliness. Sometimes the people we do know and spend time with aren't always good for us, but often as we go through life, we fall into relationships with people who aren't necessarily healthy for us, and it can be really hard to extract ourselves from that situation. So how do we build happy and healthy new relationships? And when we do, then when we need people's support, we'll be able to draw upon them. So let's take it back a little step. So how do we strike out and build new relationships with people in the first place? And just as importantly, how do we move away from some of those not so positive relationships, the negative ones that we may feel trapped in, relationships that suck the positive energy from our lives and prevent us from building better relationships with more emotionally healthy friends. Now, I'm not an organizational psychologist. What I want to do is just talk about some life experiences, what I've gone through, what works for me, and I'd love to hear what actually works for you as well. And so if you want to, do hop over to my Facebook page, because I'd love to have a discussion there. If you just go to facebook.com/Jane Career Coach, you'll find me there, and let's talk about how to build happy, healthy relationships that can actually help to create a career that would make you a lot more happy, satisfied, and feeling rewarded as well. So take a look at yourself first when it comes to building really good relationships. Do you spend the majority of your time in the wrong relationship or on activities that might take you away from good relationships? You might be trapped in a cycle of temporary friendships, perhaps, and superficial relationships that are briefly exciting but kind of meaningless. But while you may recognize that the people in your life aren't always good for you, what can you actually do about it? How can you build positive, lasting relationships? Where do you find those great friends who can be the wind beneath our wings, people who love and support us through good times and tough times too? The first place I reckon you need to look, maybe surprisingly, is within yourself. Are you comfortable with yourself? It's impossible to have a healthy relationship with someone if you're not genuinely comfortable with yourself. Wouldn't you agree? When you remove yourself from negative relationships and people who drag you down, you'll often need to spend a bit more time on your own. But if you are afraid of solitude, of being by yourself, you might risk staying in situations or with people who might not be good for you? Do you feel like a desperate need to belong, whether it's the right situation for you or not? Sometimes the fear of being alone can lead you to make friends too hastily, even if they aren't the best choice for you. I wonder, are you worried that maybe you're not good enough? Is that a thought that goes through your head as well? Because if you don't fully value yourself, you also risk not being your authentic self with other people, as you'll be worried that the real you isn't enough. Instead, you'll crave that external validation of who you are, that you're okay by being what you think others want to see. And this often can create like a vicious cycle that takes you away from that feeling of peace that comes from accepting that you are enough. Enough in your own eyes is the best place to start. And from there, you can build positive relationships with those who appreciate you for who you really are. You know, thinking about that, I've got a wonderful meditation. It's only 10 minutes on my website in the free resources section. So you don't need to download or give me your email address or anything. But if you want to go to janejacksoncoach.com, click on free resources, you'll see that I have created a wonderful 10-minute meditation. It's called Positive Affirmations, to really create the life that you want for yourself. But it does I talk about how you are enough and how you can build that strength within yourself so that you'll believe in yourself. I've had some great feedback about it. So hop over to janejacksoncoach.com, click on the free resources, and you can just have a listen, see what you think. If you don't like it, you can switch it off. Now, moving on. Are you happy spending time alone, on your own? And what does being comfortable with yourself really mean? It means being happy to spend time alone, relishing the freedom of simply maybe reading, writing, learning a new skill, or doing anything that you enjoy by yourself. Getting lost in the moment when enjoying simple pleasures. I love it because I find it amazing for my soul, because I actually enjoy solitude. I love being with friends as well, but I love solitude, and I don't need to have people around me just for the sake of not being alone. And if you can do that, instead you can take the time to seek out people who genuinely will add something positive to your life, rather than just surrounding yourself with people who might not be the best for you. Now, when you're ready to reach out to old friends, do so. Once you've built a solid personal foundation and you're truly comfortable with yourself, you can start to build new positive relationships with others as well. And the best place to start often is to reach out to the good people you know whom you haven't kept in touch with regularly. You know, often I think to friends who I haven't reached out for a while, and I think, I really like them. What's happened? Life got in the way. I got busy, and I hate that word busy, don't you? But, sometimes people fall through the cracks. So reach out to them. Say, hey, what have you been up to? Would love to catch up for a coffee. And, these people that we lose touch with, they can include family members, old school friends, maybe colleagues that you've had in the past, friends of friends, even someone that you met maybe in a baby playgroup or in a cafe at some stage. Basically, anyone you've always thought was nice to be around. List the people you wish that you had kept in touch with and make contact with them. I know you might feel a bit shy, but just say to yourself, look, I'm just going to pick up the phone. What's the worst thing that could happen? They might be busy, or they might not want to talk. Well, if they don't want to talk, well, move on. Reach out to somebody else. It's really important to build that resilience and self-reliance, because if someone doesn't want to talk to you, well, they don't want to talk to you. It's fine. I'm not everybody's cup of tea either. You might be listening to this and thinking, what a load of rubbish Jane's talking, but I just want to share my experiences with you. Let's just reach out. And if it's been many years and you don't have their contact details, look them up on Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn. It's not so hard to find people these days. In fact, I'm a member of this group. It's a Facebook group, and it's a Hong Kong Island school group. That's where I went to high school. And there are all these ex-Hong Kong people that I went to school with, and we all lost touch. And it was purely through a Facebook group that we found each other again. And it's wonderful to share ideas and share old photos of our old school, and I absolutely love it. So what about you? Where can you find your people again? Now, reaching out, it might sound like a simple step, but you know what? When you do reach out, you never know what the positive outcomes might be. And I found that the universe rewards positive action. You get what you give eventually. And to rebuild your own life, especially if you're going through a career transition, you need to take action. And when you do, be interested in other people. Okay? One way to lay the foundations of a healthy new relationship is to take a genuine interest in the new people that you meet. And you know what? When you help people, they'll usually want to help you too. Kindness begets kindness, yes? So think of whom you can help today. Who can benefit from your skills, knowledge, and experience? Who will appreciate your time, your thoughts, and your company? Whom do you want to build a tentative new friendship with? And what can you do that will make them feel good too, and that they'll feel valued? Everyone needs to feel validated. We all, we're social beings, so reach out. And being interested in others can also be just as simple as taking the time to ask about them. Remember the things that are important to them and find out what they care about. Ask questions and, listen. When was the last time you really listened? Most of us tend to listen to respond rather than listening to fully understand. And I know I'm guilty of that sometimes because I can't wait to say something. But what do you do? I know when I'm coaching, I'm 100% present and I listen. But sometimes when I'm not coaching and I'm with my friends, I might just want to talk and talk and talk because I do so much listening all the time. But reaching out to help others without thought of your own gains instigates a positive chain reaction. It stops you focusing on yourself and your problems and your worries, and ultimately helps you to put your concerns in a much healthier perspective. I found that so true. When I was going through a really tough time, about 15 years ago, everything was just going wrong in every aspect of my life. And I continued coaching, and by helping others who had their concerns as well, it just put my own concerns into perspective, and I realized that I'm just lucky to be alive. So remember that interest isn't a one-way street either. Genuinely nice people will care just as much about you and your interests, and they'll want to talk about things you're interested to, and eventually you'll find that they'll go out of their way to help you if you need it. Now, if you're really, really stuck, why not join a group or an association? Because that's the quickest and easiest way to meet people who love what you love. Okay, join an association of people who do things that you enjoy doing. So whether you've got a passion for a sporting activity, some artistic venture, pottery, floristry, book discussions, music, cooking, IT, spirituality, walking, running, find a local group to join. Not only will this honestly feed your soul by doing something that you enjoy anyway, whether you're with someone or not, but you will happen to meet others who share your interests and your passions. Yeah, I'm thinking back to when I was living in London donkeys years ago. I really love pottery, and I found this course. It was a week course. We had to go every single day, so I took time off to do it. And I trekked all the way to Woolwich. It was the Woolwich pottery where I went, and I met all these other potters. Well, they weren't real potters. They were potters like me. They wanted to learn how to pot, and we were, using the wheel with the clay, and we laughed and joked, and ended up becoming friends as well. That was so much fun. A little bit off the wall, but worthwhile. Now, if you struggle to identify a passion or interest in your life, let's think back to when you were a child and you were naturally drawn to certain activities. What did you like doing then? What filled you with joy? What sparked joy? I love that word, spark joy. Not necessarily because you were good at it, but simply because you love doing it. And if you enjoy doing it, maybe you'd like to do it again. Yeah. One place that you can actually look for local groups if you're stuck is to go to meetup.com. You can find social groups or work groups, entrepreneur groups or business building groups. It's a global site that helps you to search for basically any sort of groups in your area. And if you can't find one that you like, you can start one of your own. Yeah. I suggested to one of my male clients once that they start a cycling group for men who like to wear lycra, if they like to wear lycra. And actually there are lots of groups of, middle-aged men in lycra who like to cycle. Or maybe just find a book group or a group who wants to picnic in the park, or a job search group or a small business group, whatever you like, just have a look, discover, be resourceful and think. And, you know what's worked for me in the past? Years ago, I moved from Hong Kong to London and I didn't know anyone. And I found it difficult to meet people outside of work. I mean, it was great that I was able to find a job and I had some work friends, but everyone commutes. You know, in London, some people might commute 1 or 2 hours to get to work. And so after work, people would just head home. And I thought, oh, well, now I've got nothing to do, no one to play with. So I learned how to play squash. I joined the local squash club and started playing on the ladder. I was really bad. I was at the bottom of the ladder, but I got fitter. I had fun. And I lost so many games, of course, but then one day I met a lovely lady who ended up becoming my best friend in London because we had the same sense of humour and we were both absolutely hopeless at squash. And if, Joanna, you're listening to this, you will know. And in the end, I even named my younger daughter after her because, you know, she became such a good friend. And we just enjoyed each other's company. We're still friends. And 28 years later, you know, we still keep in contact. We're there for each other, even though I now live in London. I now live in Sydney and she lives in London. But the common interest at the beginning broke the ice. The regular squash games cemented our friendship, and basically the rest is history. And every time I move to a new city or country, and I'm originally from Hong Kong, so I moved from Hong Kong to San Francisco to London, London to Singapore, Singapore to Sydney, then back to Singapore again, then back to Sydney. I've had to, you know, like reinvent my friendship groups each time. I found that a sport, squash, tennis, golf, or dancing has made it so much easier to find people I enjoy spending time with. Okay, and there are many groups that you can join in Sydney. In Sydney, I'm a member of 2 entrepreneurs groups. One's called She Business, and the other one is with Dent Global. And I've met some wonderful people who share a common interest in entrepreneurship with me. So, what's your wheelhouse? What do you enjoy? Find a group and find like-minded people where you can share some time. And honestly, even if you're going through a job search, you know, looking for a job and you need to spend a lot of time doing that and focusing on those activities, you still need to take care of self. Take care of yourself. And what better way to nurture yourself than have friends? Okay, so start building healthy new relationships today. If you feel lonely, you're concerned that the relationships in your life aren't as positive and healthy as you'd like, start doing something about it today. Be brave. Take that first step to making your life the one you want to live, and enjoy happy, healthy relationships with like-minded people and start having fun again. When you're having fun and you have a great support group around you, the job search process feels less daunting. All right, so that's me on my hobby horse. Sorry, it's been a bit of a rant, but I'd love to hear what works for you. Why not email me with your comments, jane@janejacksoncoach.com, or go to my Facebook page. Okay, it's my Facebook coaching page, facebook.com/Jane Career Coach. Let's start a discussion. Let's start a support group. I'd love your ideas. See you on Facebook. And until next time, believe in yourself and create magic. If you'd like to find out how coaching can help you, visit janejacksoncoach.com, where not only will you be able to listen to other fascinating interviews from professionals who've made amazing career changes, you'll also be able to download some free ebooks and guides on how to manage your career effectively.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.